Welcome to Philly Fortune Talks with your host, Jake Penny, where the city's brightest minds share the secrets behind their success. Are you ready to be inspired?
Imagine a leader who can turn around any business challenge with a proven track record in diverse industries. Today, we delve into the journey of Larry Nusbaum, a private equity-backed executive with over 20 years of experience in consumer goods, retail, business services, construction, and real estate. Larry's expertise span in P&L management, sales and marketing, manufacturing, sourcing, finance, and operations. Trained at Procter & Gamble and major New York agencies, Larry has a history of driving success in B2B, B2C, and D2C platforms. His strategic leadership has transformed multi-office domestic and international teams, delivering exceptional results across various sectors. Larry, it's a pleasure to have you on Philly Fortune Talks.
Thanks, appreciate being here, Jake. And I think you have to repeat that, but 5 times fast, and then backwards and forwards.
Yeah, definitely tongue twisting for sure. So, Larry, your extensive career spans multiple industries, including consumer goods, business services, construction, real estate. Can you share what initially motivated you to pursue such a diverse professional path?
I think it's one divorce to the wind, and probably the need to travel and never get bored. Obviously, I enjoy working with the same, obviously, with private equity groups and banks, and I enjoy fixing things, right? So I never looked at myself when I was a kid growing up as Mr. Fix It, although I grew up in Center City, Philadelphia, was born in South Philly. I'm a Philly guy, so I'm an Eagles fan. I'll own it. Wawa shopper. But that said, I really wanted to get to the big city. So started at P&G, and I realized, the big companies have a certain protocol and a format, and they don't get into the trenches, right? They never get into the weeds. So you learn at P&G or the big agencies. When I was managing Pringles or Safeguard deodorant soap or one of the big brands, they're really not looking at a P&L. They're not getting dirty, right? You're in one vertical, you're handling one brand, you're doing one philosophy, and it's a corporate culture and a structure, and you're not close to the P&L. You're not close to the people like the founders who are living it, who started a business, the entrepreneurs who, built a pizza company like the one I'm in here in New Hampshire, started a manufacturing business, or somebody who started a small retail shop, or a chain of Bliss massage parlors, or something, in any category, or developing their first building that they invested their life savings and developed it, and something goes sideways, right? There's always a curveball. The interest rates go against you in real estate, or a construction guy screws up your basement, right? And I was in basement waterproofing briefly to turn around a famous old regional waterproofing company out of the Mid-Atlantic, called Mid-Atlantic Waterproofing, and those kind of things. They don't know what real dollars are, and there's real people who develop really small businesses and need help. And my goal was leave corporate America and focus on these lower middle market, we call them, but businesses around 10 to 200 million in sales, where they're real people with real problems, trying to resolve real issues and build real businesses that are meaningful in hiring people. These small businesses are left behind in this culture and in America's Teslas and Apples and big ticket NASDAQ companies, right? What happened
Right.
to them? What happened to the little guy? Seriously.
Yeah, Main Street instead of Wall Street.
Yeah. And frankly, Main Street, I did a roll up in the consumer space. I actually turned around at Ronco, and we were small business of the year in 2010. And Fitz and Floyd was a tabletop company that your grandmother might remember. There was a nature company, a food company called Nature Aid out of California. There's a company
Yeah.
called Cosmedicine, skincare company with cosmetics out of New York. And I once was quoted back in 2010 to 12, if you look at YouTube, as saying, it's time to turn Wall Street into Main Street.
Yep.
Because when are we going to care about the little business, the entrepreneur, the person who, frankly, is trying to make ends meet and meet his payroll? Like, corporate America doesn't care about payroll because it's assumed, and they consolidate, build, and it's a Ponzi scheme. It's like a multi-level marketing scheme of money on top of money, with big investments and returns to their private equity groups, and these are the donors and that kind of thing. And what I care about is, how does a little business survive tomorrow, and how do you meet payroll? And that's kind of the world I play in and live in, which is build real businesses with real founders, real entrepreneurs, family businesses, starting from, frankly, maybe your grandparents back in the turn of the century, literally.
Yeah, I preach it all the time. Invest in Main Street instead of Wall Street, where you can make a huge social impact and a great financial ROI as well. Without dealing with Wall Street and making those people wealthy, it's like we have access to plenty of things on Main Street that make a great ROI, social and financial.
And it's also, frankly, besides the community, like this little company here in Pittsfield, Rustic Crust, is struggling and trying to help and save a business here and get parachuted in, or a business, a family business that is doing well, but wants to get to the next level, but frankly doesn't have the founder, the owner, or the entrepreneur doesn't have the training or the wherewithal, right, to put in the SOPs, that's standard operating procedures, the KPIs, key performance indicators, or the ERP system or the CRM system, or doesn't understand that you have to have a plan. They've done it with shoeboxes and abacus, counting financials on their fingers and their own private checkbook, right? They're investing and they don't know what they don't know, but they know they don't know how to go to the next level. So that's why they want to sell the business, and they go to the shark pond, right, and get eaten by one of the larger private equity groups who gives them a hope note and a prayer, but doesn't, but immediately brings in, a guy like me, or a gal, I don't want to be sexist, who's professional management that can come in. And in my case, I wanted to do more than just be plugged in and build, grow, and flip a business, right? It's great to, of course, you want to give returns to your investors, and that is primary, the returns, the IRR, the return on capital, the ROI. But at the end of the day, you also have people, and you have to manage people, and it's people that make businesses. So I'm a little tired of hearing people say it's all about the business model. Oh, this won't work. I've seen terrible businesses managed by good people who cared in small communities do better than businesses that should have performed, were great on paper, had all the reason to exist, but frankly failed because the people didn't give a damn, and they didn't show up because they weren't motivated, or they were kicked out in favor of, financial engineering. Wink, wink.
I always say people over profits. And, if people don't see the mission, they don't have the purpose, and they're not fulfilled and they're not valued at the end of the day, it's not going to work. You need to make the people that work with you, feel exceptional.
And it's that passion, and I think, Jake, something I think you're, again, you talk about how to really generate true wealth. My uncle did it from the grassroots, imported, right? Imported from Poland, built Delancey Street in Philadelphia, built the first real estate, development, built what is now Delancey Street, built Long Beach Island, South Jersey, invested first dollars, breaking ground. I mean, it's the property management guys. It's the ones that invested, who gave themselves and took that big gamble, that big risk, with a risk of losing it all, right? And worried those sleepless nights. And we say in a group I belong to in Philadelphia, actually, Young Presidents Organization, YPO, we say, what keeps you up at night? Like, where do you lose your sleep? And I do, when I think of, not making payroll, not being able to help a business or community succeed. And to me, that gets lost with the term financial engineering, and clear returns. And to me, if you build a base, the rest follows, right? If you build the house on rubbish, the house collapses. And I think it's the same with my real estate ventures as well. You have to build a solid foundation. If you skimp on the foundation, and there's, as I look below, and you don't pour the concrete properly, you don't get a house that stands.
Yeah. Yeah. I think so much social media, focuses on scale, 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 grow, 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 increase revenue. And at the end of the day, they're not focusing on the grassroots. They're not focusing on the foundations. And look, you can grow a company and scale a company quick as hell and worry about that, but it's going to crumble if you don't have that foundation for sure. That's the most important part of anything. And like it's the boring part too that nobody wants to really do, but it's the most important.
Well, that's it. I mean, I think, people take, sometimes you go through hardship. There's no such thing. Anyone who says it's a straight line to success and there's a path, a clear path, and you've done it many times, a BS. Okay. I've hit many hurdles, and I can tell you it's the curveball that I don't expect. It's the fastball that comes across, in the ninth inning, you were expecting to hit out, and Bryce Harper's not on your team and he's not there at bat, right? It's Casey, and it's getting kicked and pushed back and realizing after failing at a couple, making mistakes. And anyone who says they're batting 1,000 and whatever isn't real. Okay, that's just BS. So the social media, I don't fall in love with my own press, my own YouTube, my own clippings. What I focus on is what's next, what's right in front of me, and what you can solve. And sometimes it's just out of your hands, right? Like, is
Yeah.
Walmart going to buy the pizza on Monday, in the 29th? Are they going to buy rustic crust? Is QVC going to run e-bike, at Midwest Trading? Are we going to get the deal? Are we going to get the capital? Are we going to survive long enough? I mean, and reality is that it's a slog. And you have to be ready to take the downs as much as the ups. And frankly, as we all know, if people don't want to admit it, there's more hits to take than there are hits to give.
Right. It's about, coming out clean on the other side. You're winning more than you lose, but cutting your losses quickly so that your winners outweigh your losses.
Right. I mean, that's the, again, and I look at it as a percentage batting average. I look at everything sort of as a sports metaphor. I mean, sports metaphor. If you're batting 333 and your on base percentage is high, that's great. And I'm proud of my on base percentage. I'm proud of my big wins. Obviously, you get praised by the Ron Co win or the Fitz and Floyd sell or the woo-ha, that kind of thing. But the exec award or whatever it is. But what I really am most proud about are the foundational people that I met along the way, and the people that who, it's everyone that made up the win, right? It's the team. It's the founder who rolled up their sleeves and didn't give up. It's the teammates who took half salary or took a deduction and played for the future because they're willing to sacrifice. And maybe they sacrificed a lot more than even I know, but
Hmm.
they did it and they played through to get to the other side. And so I'm proud of again, I could be deployed in a different city. I've been in almost every city, every town in the US, and over the last 20 years. And today it's New Hampshire, tomorrow it's Downers Grove, Illinois, and maybe it's Orlando, Florida, and it's not Disney World, believe me.
Yeah.
Wink, wink.
So Larry, hey, time flies when we're having fun. Now, as we're wrapping things up, a lot of people are self-employed like yourself and myself. We're doing really well with our day-to-day profession, our job, but we're also starting to think about the future. I think this is perfect for you since you're in private equity, you're doing businesses, helping them out. We're starting to think about, okay, at some point, I may not want to be doing this business forever. Do you have any thoughts about that for creating, for these business owners, okay, like an exit or creating passive income to replace their current income through their business, through investments or something like that for their family in the future?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Obviously, safe bets. We all know CDs, we all know bonds, that are for the government and that kind of thing that we can get our 5 or 6% on, and that right now that's pretty attractive. Obviously, people are playing in the tech sector with the magical six they call it, right? The Alphabets and the Google, and those guys in Tesla, maybe not. But people are jumping into that. I certainly diversifying the portfolio. I think investing certainly is never a bad time right now. Maybe a little sketchy for real estate, but certainly investing in, I always say, and I invest in Philadelphia real estate actually. So I'm hands-on with Philly and Cobbs Creek, West Philly. I believe in a diverse portfolio approach. I do believe in small business, so not just
Mhm.
public investments in Nasdaq or NYSE stocks, but I am, a believer in as I look into the looking glass at investing in businesses that are sustainable. I like businesses that obviously help people, like wind energy, solar energy, but certainly that are sustainable. I think that's the wave of the future. EV is the wave of the future. In terms of working at it, I'm a proponent of old line businesses. I tend to go in and parachute in with smaller boutique private equity groups to save smaller businesses. And I'm passionate about that because I see real returns and real opportunity. And those that have the opportunity to invest in, businesses that, coffee's not going away. Food, everyone needs to eat. Unless we're all turning into robots and we're going full AI, I don't think and then robots need nothing. Then we're being replaced by, robots, and we're in T2 Terminator. Welcome to Arnold Schwarzenegger. He's back. I think that those type of things that are just, fitness, health and wellness, those type businesses never fall out of vogue. Yeah, that's kind of where I shake at. I think invest in the little guy.
Awesome, Larry. Well, it was a pleasure having you on Philly Fortune Talks. And for the listeners who want to connect with you, learn more about what you're doing, your work, private equity, what's the best place for them to go?
Absolutely. Reach out to me at Lars, Lars, and I'm not a Nordic god. It just happens to be they don't have Larry on Yahoo. It's old school email, Lars_Nusbaum, 1S, Nusbaum at yahoo.com. And I'm easy to reach, easy to get to. And my phone number is 310-486-3744. Although I don't want any crank calls because I'll spam you.
Awesome, Larry. Well, it was a pleasure having you.
Thanks, Jake. Much appreciated.
Thanks for tuning in to Philly Fortune Talks with Jake Penny. Inspired to share your success story? Visit phillyfortunetalks.com/guest and let's inspire together.